The future of our workforce isn't just written in boardrooms or factories, but in the universities, classrooms, and various forums, as well as in the minds of education leaders. They are the real visionaries who are pushing the boundaries in terms of creating the right set of talent, skills for the future professionals. In this series, Shaping Tomorrow, we honor them. We speak to various vice chancellors, deans, academic heads, and career services heads to understand how they are reshaping the higher education landscape and creating the future talent workforce. Join us as we uncover how they are transforming higher education to meet the needs of tomorrow, because shaping minds today means shaping the future workforce, one that is ready for the challenges of tomorrow. This is not just a conversation about education. This is a conversation about the future. And in this inaugural series, we cover the Middle East region, starting with the United Arab Emirates. Welcome to Shaping Tomorrow by Board Infinity.
Welcome, Dr. Ajay Shukla, to Shaping Tomorrow by Board Infinity. It's an honor to have you here. I think you are one of those veterans in the higher education space in UAE. You have been instrumental in bringing a lot of global universities to the ecosystem, right from University of Birmingham and Georgetown, USA. I think you have had a stellar career moving from a typical banking and financial services journey, moving to education, running educational institutions, then starting up in the space, exiting, now back to the education space with the IIT Delhi Abu Dhabi campus. I think the audience would love to hear more about your journey. I will stop from my side. Yeah.
Thank you, Sumesh, for having me. It's an honor, and to share whatever little I know with anyone who will listen to this podcast. Many would like to think that I have had a very careful and thoughtful process in planning my career, but it is not so. It has been a series of sort of adventures and happy accidents. So yes, I did start my career journey with the consumer financial services industry, initially with American Express and then with ABN AMRO, where I was the founding head of credit cards for the business. Thereafter, I was searched for a position with an iconic global brand, Reader's Digest, to be their overall business head and CEO based out of Mumbai. And Reader's Digest, as you well know, is a household name, so that was certainly an attraction and also an adventure that, moving from financial services to publishing. Ran the magazine for a couple of years very successfully, made it the largest selling magazine in India, ahead of India Today and other brand names that you hear of. Then moved to, then I was searched to head McGraw-Hill Education, Tata McGraw-Hill Education, to the joint venture in education publishing. That was really my first sort of entry into the education sector. And the interesting thing there was moving from a purely print book publisher to a time when digital learning and online learning was sort of making its first impact. So, how to carefully transform a traditional business into the digital world, right, was really something significant. And I did that for 9 years, and I also looked after Asia Pacific region for McGraw-Hill a few years after I was appointed the MD. And that gave me more of a global landscape, 14 countries, 700 employees, publishing in half a dozen languages other than English. I think the most significant thing I would say in that stint was starting local language publishing.
Interesting.
And that was really an innovation for a global publisher. If you look at UPSC exams, or public sector exams, they are held in multiple languages. And that's an opportunity that we saw at Tata McGraw-Hill. We said we must address this. We must help hundreds and thousands of learners who don't get the opportunity to take a really honest shot at some of these highly competitive examinations because they don't have materials in their local language. So we started modestly with a Hindi publishing program and then also into other languages. That was a runaway success for us. I mean, we were selling 1 million units of our content materials to all these civil services exams aspirants within 2 years of launching our publishing.
Wow.
Of course, other publishers then copied us. But the main point is that I think innovation and really sort of thinking about how to make an impact on the end learner and then building the business model and the business rationale after that is really something that I learned out of that experience. Then I was sort of lured into moving into the UAE. I started with Gens Education as the CEO of their tertiary education holding company. Ran an American liberal arts college for 4 years. I also did a couple of market entry strategy and setting up of international branch campuses, because I clearly saw that that was a gap, that there was a lot of quantity of provision by way of international branch campuses, particularly in Dubai, but there was no top 100 university. In the entire list of 100 plus branch campuses that we have in the UAE, there was not a single one that was top 100. And that's something that I'm very proud of. I worked with the leadership of University of Birmingham, presenting a business case. It took me 1.5 years to convince the
get
university.
the partnership done. Okay.
Similarly, with Georgetown University, it took me 4 years to convince them that they must establish a branch campus for their business school. So these are two projects that I'm particularly proud of, bringing really top-class higher education provision to the region and the UAE. Of course, I did have an entrepreneurial stint where I was doing my consulting work for market entry strategy, and also bringing students to the UAE universities through our student counseling program. So that's something we'll probably talk about later as well.
Right. So I think today UAE, all the Emirates put together, has close to 75 to 80 institutions which are federally run, which are having branch campuses of foreign universities coming in and setting up here. So there's a lot of buzz that's going on, right? And I think every year there are a couple of universities opening up and a couple of universities shutting down also. Now, when you looked at this from a perspective of initiating and making a change in terms of bringing these universities here, like you said, one is the quality and the rigor of the academic side, right? What are the other parameters that you really looked at, saying that this university, if it has to be successful, what are those key components that they'll have to really strive on, after the launch and the initiation?
Well, that's a great question, because the provision, as you said, there are 75 plus, in fact, last reckoning 102 campuses. So for a tiny country, this is a lot.
Yeah.
So my sort of perspective, having been in this sector for 10 years here in the UAE, is, first of all, you must fulfill a niche. It's no longer that, okay, let's come in with our bread and butter business, computer science, engineering programs, and then we'll see.
Right.
It's true that there is still a demand for these programs predominantly. But unless you are fulfilling a certain niche, which is linked to the economic sectors of the region,
Correct. Okay.
And consequently the employability outcomes that you can achieve for the graduates,
Right.
that is how you have to think. You have to think more about the contribution to the economic sectors and map that back into the employability and what the programs look like. So let me give you an example. A pure vanilla program in, let's say, computer science versus a computer science program in cybersecurity and artificial intelligence,
Okay.
right? Why is the latter more attractive? Because you are signaling very clearly that program concentration is towards certain sectors which are very valuable to the UAE and the region, considering all that is happening by way of transformation of the IT and computer science sector. And it also will lead to better employability outcomes.
Right.
And if you involve the industry in the curriculum design, you are producing graduates that the industry wants. Now, all this has to be thought of upfront. It cannot be a discovery process.
Yeah.
That's really the specialization that sort of is needed in this region.
Dr. Ajay, so we are in the, the most, I would say, the vibrant campus in Abu Dhabi. We're in the IIT Delhi Abu Dhabi campus, and world-class infrastructure. I think I have not seen this kind of a beautiful campus across a lot of places, and I think there is a curiosity to understand. Let's say IIT Delhi coming to Abu Dhabi. What's the vision? What's the plan for the next couple of years? Are the programs different? Are the demographics different? So if you could throw some light on that, it would be great.
Yeah, certainly would love to. First of all, a quick rewind. This project is born out of really the deep friendships between India and the UAE at the topmost leadership level. So a couple of years ago, a comprehensive economic cooperation agreement was signed between the two countries. And as a part of the aims and objectives and the vision of this agreement was cooperating on higher education and research. So this project was really born as Indian government and the UAE government partnership. Secondly, why IIT? Because quite clearly there are many other Indian branch campuses operating here.
Right.
The reason is very simple, that the UAE and the region certainly misses a world-class STEM provision in higher education and research. And the IITs are well known around the world.
Absolutely.
By way of producing top-class graduates who gone on to do great things, founding amazing companies, heading up global tech corporations, and of course known for research. IIT Delhi's own scientists and faculty are regularly amongst the top 2% in the world. So quite clearly there is something of value. There is of course the Indian diaspora, the Emiratis and the regional expatriates. It becomes a place where IIT Delhi can become the magnet for the best and the brightest who are seeking a world-class STEM education and also a home for the world's best faculty and researchers in STEM. So that's really the vision with which we are here. But the more important thing is that we also want to sort of be very carefully mapped to what the local needs are. If you see, the energy sector is one of the most vibrant sectors in this region, particularly the UAE. But at the same time, the energy sector is going through a certain transition and a deliberate transition, that moving away from traditional fossil fuels to alternative energy sources like solar, even nuclear. So that's a certain economic transition and challenge, which requires a different kind of trained talent. It requires incubation of research that can help with this particular transition. And of course, UAE has major ambitions in becoming the home and hub for artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. So we see the likes of Mohammed bin Zayed University for Artificial Intelligence, first AI only universities. We see G42, which has become one of the biggest investments for Microsoft anywhere outside the US. So I hope I'm driving the point that the energy in computer science and IT is really the core of the future growth and the vision for the country and also the region. And we are particularly strong in this at IIT Delhi. So our first master's program that was launched in January of this year was in energy engineering and energy transitions. And while these programs exist in the IIT Delhi main campus, they were substantially adapted in their curriculum and outcomes for the regional needs. Two undergraduate programs that started in September of this year, just last month, are in energy engineering and computer science. So what we are doing is what I was saying earlier, that the program and the education and research agenda has to be mapped to the local economic sectors, the employability and innovation outcomes. And after that, delivering really well on that agenda is what makes a great university. And that's the journey that we are now on.
I think that's a very strong vision and a very logical and a strong vision. I would say that. Now, coming back to your past experience, you have led digital transformation in companies like Tata McGraw, right? Now, there's a lot of buzz around digital tools adoption in education, especially after the pandemic. What are your views on that?
My views may be significantly different and perhaps even opposing to the conventional thought around digital learning. First of all, the mindset should be that digital learning is a tool in the hands of educators. It is a means to an end, but it is not the silver bullet that people are looking for. Now, why I say that is that research has proven that careful, customized use of digital tools in the classroom at the discretion of the instructor and the judgment of the instructor has much better learning outcomes than a standardized formula which says that this percentage of learning will happen through online self-learn, this will happen through synchronous video streaming, this will happen through adaptive learning materials, and this will happen through digital formative assessments, trying to define a certain mode in which online learning, instruction and assessment will be done is often disastrous. So I personally believe that we need to empower the instructors with a choice of digital tools. We need to train them on best cases and learn and form a community of adept educators who have successfully used digital tools in the classroom and learn and then adapt for what the instructor really needs in the classroom. So instead of, there was this very famous sort of phrase at one time saying that, instructor is no longer a teacher. They are a guide by the side. I don't believe in that. They are still, the kings of
in
the
making sure
classroom.
the learning experience happens.
Absolutely. They are the kings of the classroom. And everyone else is a servant to them in terms of providing them the best possible tools. And it's at their discretion on how much or how little they want to use of all these tools.
Yeah.
Of course, it requires a lot of training. I mean, there was also that this phrase of, they'll be the guide by the side. I don't believe in that. I mean, they have to lead the teaching, learning, and assessment. And digital is only a certain supplemental tool, which they have to carefully curate and use. But it requires a lot of training.
Right.
Often we found in McGraw-Hill that although we were providing, let's say, adaptive learning materials, so some of our books we converted into and what you could call as adaptive courseware, where depending and the learner could pace themselves as per the mastery that they had gained over the previous topics. So there would be a formative assessment which would be different for every learner. Some are fast learners, some may get quadratic equations very quickly, while the rest are lagging. So they would be allowed to jump into other materials or offered more challenging materials, while others would be allowed to sort of go back and learn, master, so that the foundational skills were achieved. So we sort of came up with this adaptive learning, software-based learning approach. But we still left it to the teacher. And one of the core issues of adopting this somewhat very alluring model was that the teachers were not adopting it very well. So we actually created a layer of support, which we call learning support assistants, so that they could understand what this courseware was intended to do, and slowly help them implement it in the classroom and then assess whether they wanted to use it as much or as little as they wanted. So there is a training element
Required for this. Okay, great. And you are sitting at a hotspot where multicultural set of students come in, and that's actually how the demographics actually shape up in many of the institutions in UAE. Now, to drive that is to get more and more international students into the ecosystem. Has there been any specific set of strategies that have worked for you in your previous partnerships?
Yes, I would say that there is a certain hugely diverse cultural setup we get as a gift when we are in the UAE, right? Nearly 200 countries are represented here by way of the expatriate population. So when we look at the higher education provision in the UAE, there is an automatic diversity in the classroom for the students that are coming in from the UAE, which is a very unique position that the UAE is in.
Okay.
Many campuses, let's say, if you were to look at an elite campus in India, I mean, you would not find too many foreign students unless they come on an exchange program or a government-to-government sort of sponsored scholarship. Likewise, in the West, some of the elite universities would, let's say in America or UK, would have predominantly local students, but also a mix of international students. In the UAE, it is a given that any higher education institution would have that basic level of diversity that represents the diversity we see in the society. Of course, in terms of incoming students coming from outside of UAE, naturally that diversity is added even more. And more I see that students from India, they have a very strong affinity towards studying in the UAE. We are beginning to see, of course, the GCC has always been a very good source to get international students. But increasingly, we are seeing places as far away as North Africa, the CIS countries, which were part of sort of the Eastern Bloc, and surprisingly, even European students who want to come here because they want a safe environment, they want to experience a new region, and everybody knows that the hub of economic growth is moving east.
Right.
So, that's an added attraction. So, I think diversity is not an issue for campuses.
Okay, great, awesome. So, a little bit, I would say, leave the work aside, but what do you do to wind down, to have fun in your personal life?
Actually, I've always believed that most professionals tend to have a disproportionate leaning towards their work.
Correct.
And I believe that, a stool with one leg or two legs is not going to stand, right? So you need to have other things that sort of are a passion for you. So I have many things that I do, things that some of your listeners might find very interesting. I am a classically trained musician.
Wow. Okay. This one is new. I didn't know
You
this.
didn't know
Okay.
this? So I have a degree in music in Hindustani classical music.
Okay.
From Prayag Sangeet Samiti. I trained as a tabla player, but as an accompanist, I learned vocal music as well. I have my own YouTube channel where I publish maybe 300 songs.
Wow. Okay.
So that's something that most people don't know. Then I'm also an avid motorcyclist.
Yeah.
I've been riding for 35 years.
So, which one is your bike?
My current motorcycle is a Harley Davidson
Interesting. Okay.
Sportster 1200 custom. Of course, in the UAE, you can ride during winter months, so I'm really looking forward to it. Sort of taking the covers off and using it.
Yeah.
Back in India, I have a Royal Enfield.
Okay, great, awesome. So I think thank you so much for spending time with us. And the idea behind starting a series called Shaping Tomorrow is because I strongly believe that it's education and educational setups which actually makes the future of a lot of students across the planet, and mostly we do not get to see the people who change or make that change happen. And this was our initiative to make sure that how do we bring out the ecosystem more in terms of the actual human beings running the show. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for you to spend time with us here. And as a parting note, I think since you've been in typical business / corporate setups, and you've been in the education space, and I think you bring both those angles into what you do. Any parting message for higher education leaders who are taking up newer roles, trying to grow their institution so that they would ideally benefit from someone like you? Yeah.
See, I would say that there is a certain mindset and philosophical outlook we need to have towards education first, before we start seeing it as a business. So, education is a service to society. If you operate with that mindset, then the business construct, etc., follows later, and you will be disproportionately rewarded by society if you start with the philosophy and vision and DNA that we are here to serve society. So many sort of educational entities operate with the reverse mindset, which is, okay, we've got an education business. Now, what can we get out of society? How many people will enroll with us? What fees will they pay? What does the revenue look like? What's my cost model? And can I make it a profitable business? I would say that don't go there till you have absolutely convinced yourself that there is something of value that I'm giving to society. Right? And that's the example that we saw earlier with IIT Delhi, that we are serving society here in the UAE, the economic sectors, waters, and helping people get trained into the jobs of the future, right? If that is the starting point, you will always arrive with the right solution. So that's the first thing, that think of education as a service to society. And I think the second thing, according to me, is that we need to have an education first mentality. That we have to have uncompromising standards by way of the quality of education. And how do we achieve that is making sure that our quality assurance processes within the institution are well established. We have the best faculty teaching the appropriate programs. We are supporting the faculty with everything they need by way of laboratories and other sort of classroom technology, etc. We are empowering the learners by way of wider spectrum of resources. So there has to be an uncompromising focus on education. I heard a very interesting quote recently by a famous scholar, and his father asked him that, okay, you must go to university to get a job. And he said that, no, I'm going to the university to get education. So, that says a lot, right? That this is really, what are universities? Universities are a home, a safe home for students, faculty, scholars, researchers who don't have to get anxious about job security, whether I will get a job or not. This stint is going to be your happiest stint. I can say that for students, that you are here to immerse yourself into the world of education. Everything else will follow.
I think it was a very insightful conversation with you. As always, a pleasure to catch up and understand how you think about education and what are the things that are happening currently with respect to the spectrum in UAE. I would like to thank you once again, Dr. Ajay, and we loved hosting you, and good luck to all your initiatives in IIT Delhi Abu Dhabi campus.
Thank you so much.